And people move people move into a neighborhood, they want to be involved in that, and we see that. That's why there's 34 cities now within the county, and why unincorporated areas, unfortunately, Kendall should have already been incorporated. Thank you very much, Joe Martinez, for killing that, former commissioner.
That is correct.
And I told him so as well. And when areas or cities or there's some government agency, people are connected to that. And we see when people show up for your community council, and I was there the other night, and people get an opportunity to go and meet their local representatives. So you've been doing that for how long as on that board?
Well, we've been there for 3 years. We were appointed in 23 because one of the things that people do not know concerning that particular community council for Area 11 is that before that it was almost like dead for like a year because there were not that many board members. You only had one or two, so there was not enough quorum. So most of the items were being brought up directly to the county commission, which was a huge, downturn for the community because there wasn't an opportunity to have those items heard like locally. Then came Commissioner Gonzalez. He was appointed by Governor DeSantis, and then he appointed me and other board members to fulfill the responsibilities of the community council. And then in 24, I got reelected by the community, and I've been there already like for almost 3 years now.
That's wonderful. And tell us about your other community involvement, how you give back.
Well, we are working, and we have been working to represent Colombian, Venezuelan, and all Latino migrants that are usually underrepresented. They don't have that many voices within the community. Not that many elected officials are from those countries, and mostly because most of them who have arrived here over the years, although they have adapted, they have gotten involved within the American system. Most Latinos that come into the United States, they do not connect directly with how government works. Why is it important to connect with local officials? What is that concept of community council? What is a commissioner? What is a state representative? So they still believe, because they come from these Latin American countries, that the president is the one that decides everything, and then they have a congressman and a senator, and that's all they should care about. But here locally, they don't even understand what the zip code is about and what that entails, what type of responsibilities that brings, and also what type of opportunities that can bring them if they have small businesses. So I have been spending my whole time doing events where I teach people and folks about these important things, but always from a pedagogical standpoint, helping migrants understand how we work, what the country represents, the history of the United States, why English is important, so that the process of adaptation becomes more let's say, easier for them, because most of the times people, I'm in Miami, so, hablemos español, let's talk Spanish, and everything will go, yeah, that might be okay in certain areas, but if you want to make money, you want to grow, you got to speak English, because at some point you will have to deal with Americans who speak English. This is an English-speaking country. So that has been my devotion, trying to make people, because when I came to the country when I was a little kid, I always said that I've always been privileged because I spoke the language, so I didn't have to go through all these hurdles of the adaptation, because I always had the country since I was a kid in my veins or in my heart. So the U.S. for me was never a stranger. I always had the two countries. But for some other people, it hasn't been like that. So since I was a little kid, I would see people in New York, where I was raised, struggling with the language. They didn't understand many things, and they always would ask for translations and trying to get the information. And most of the times the information would come half explained. So that's why in this opportunity that I've had in life is I've been trying to teach people things that for me are important to understand what America stands for and why English is so important.